PortAventura is home to some of Europe's most impressive coasters, but with slow operations and frustrating queue times, is it actually worth it? Let's break down which ones are worth your patience and which ones you should skip. Let's start with one of their newest attractions. Now, this is the indoor Intamin multi-dimension coaster, Uncharted, obviously themed after the game. This is a strange one because beautifully presented from the outside, nice kind of building, queue line, very, very well done. But then it kind of feels like they just ran out of money and that the actual ride itself is lacking. The hardware, not so much, right? Intamin done a fantastic job. The coaster, the multi-dimensional bit, drop tracks, the spinning, all that kind of stuff, fantastic. Love it as a coaster. Just, there's a couple of screens, there's a couple of props. It's just like, just missing stuff. It's a bit like the Avengers Flight Force over at Disneyland Paris. Like, they just put all the money into the queue line and the exterior and then went, oops, we've got nothing left. So it's annoying. Nonetheless, if you look at it from a ride point of view, I think the ride is fantastic. So I am going to put it in that keep pile, but I'd love them to spend a little bit more money and just tart up the inside a little more. And the next one is an attraction, and it's a seasonal attraction as well. And I'm not quite sure what the logic behind this is, because it's the Temple de Fuego, right? So the Temple of Fire, I think it is. Brilliant attraction, right? It's obviously all in Spanish, so couldn't understand what the guy was saying. But basically, there's this guy trying to take you through. It's kind of Indiana Jones-esque, right? You're going through this temple and, you know, things are happening, and then obviously culminates in the bit where the room kind of collapses and the fire comes up and all that kind of stuff. Very, very theatrical, very, very well done. It's a shame that it doesn't run all year round. I was there in the summer, so I was fortunate enough to see it, but I know people who have been this time of the year. I'm filming this in May? June? No, it's just turned June, so it's probably open now. But I know people that were there in May and it was not open. So that's kind of frustrating. And I don't know if it's like a kind of money-saving thing, let's not pay the actors all year round, because it's not like the attraction can't run. Nonetheless, it is a great attraction and it's one I'm going to keep. The next one, on the other hand, not so much. And that's Furious Baco. Now, this one seems to be very, very Marmite. There are people who are big fans of this ride. There are people who just didn't like it at all. I kind of sort of sit in the middle a little bit, to be honest. I appreciate for what it is. The launch is punchy as hell. I think it really depends as well. If you're on an inner seat, it's not too bad. If you're on an outer seat, vibrate. You're gonna get those fillings sort of shaking loose. So yeah, and I kind of touched on at the start of this video that operations are problematic in this park. I've seen some people have some okay experiences, but generally speaking, like when I was there, they were dispatching a train like every 5 minutes. It is horrific. Massive queue, it's not air conditioned or anything like that. The other problem with this park is they seem to not cap FastPass. So you buy FastPass thinking, oh well, that'll help, but then I've seen the Furious Baco FastPass queue being up to an hour as well. So that's the biggest frustration with this one. It's not the most comfortable ride. Again, I'm not going to scrap this one. It's not as bad as other coasters, but I will put this one and take it or leave it, because unless I can get on it reasonably rapid, I'm not prepared to stand in a massive queue for it. It's Spain, it's hot, and thankfully they have a number of water rides, and the first one is Tutuki Splash. Now this is one where there's like a fairly sizable boat. I think it's like 4 people in each row, multiple rows, etc. And it kind of takes you around a few bits, and there's obviously some big drops. I suppose conceptually similar to something like Tidal Wave, a bit more to it, and definitely a lot more themed. But you do get wet on this. And you can, again, get wet based on other boats. So depending on the timing of it, you could be going along just minding your own business as another boat comes flying down the hill, and then you just get the kind of splash from them. But nonetheless, as I said, it's Spain, it's hot, you're going to want to cool down. There's definitely a need for water attractions, including this one, so it's going in that keep pile. So the park also has a pirate boat known as Kontiki. There's nothing special about this one, it is just a pirate boat, but I do like a pirate boat, and I've said before, flats have a purpose. There's quite a few in this park actually, which is good to see. So not much to say about it, but I am going to keep it. one of their kids attractions in the kind of Sesame area is Mission Street. Again, this is beautifully well themed, exterior, interior. It's mainly a screen-based ride, but there is props throughout. Actually quite a nice blend of the two. The reason it's screen-based is because it's an interactive attraction and you've got to shoot stuff. And they didn't want to have physical targets, I guess. It's good, it's brilliant for kids. It's one of those ones that can also have that frustrating queue. So if it doesn't have a bad queue, get on it. It's, you know, you're indoors for a bit. Can't remember if it was well air conditioned, but you're out of the heat. So great kids ride, I'm gonna keep it. One of the smaller coasters for the kids is Tami Tami. Again, nothing spectacular about this other than it is one of those introductory rides for the younger audience. And you've seen these in other videos when I've done it. I'm a huge advocate of this. I think it is great to introduce kids to rides, less thrilling ones obviously at their age, and then progress up to that kind of the thrill coasters if that's where they want to end up. So I think this is perfect and a great addition. I'm going to keep it. And now we get to the big boy. Possibly one of my favourite coasters actually. I am going to be filming a top 10 soon, and which might be out before this actually. But Shambhala is a monster. It is fantastic. Again, slightly frustrating with the operations on the ride. That's just a kind of par for the course with this park, unfortunately. But it is absolutely amazing. That first drop is fantastic. It is just airtime, airtime, airtime. Your backside is barely in that seat. It's fantastic. And they do have on-ride cameras to film you, which I quite like that sort of thing. You know, I like the memories. It does seem like they've upgraded the cameras since I was there. Of course, when I went a few years ago, pretty sure the cameras were potatoes because the picture quality was honking. But I've seen some recent ones from others and, well, at least some of the cameras on some of the trains have been improved. So anyway, fantastic ride, absolute monster, possibly in my top 10, and it is definitely getting kept. Can't say the same for the next one. A coaster that's right next to it, kind of, I don't think they kind of cross over each other, but you know, they're quite close beside each other, is Dragon Can. It's a B&M coaster. It's not been retracked or got a new train, so it's not got the current B&M problems, shall we say. But I still found it a bit of a headbanger, and it's the clunky over-the-shoulder restraints, so I wasn't a massive fan of this one. I don't think it's quite as bad as the Hulk, which some of you are still reeling that I scrapped. So I will put this one and take it or leave it. But yeah, I think it's, of all their big coasters, this one is definitely the biggest letdown. Alright, there's a bunch of rides here that I'm probably going to butcher the name of. Some I'm not even going to try, I'm just going to put the name on the screen. But this one I will try. It's their kind of, I don't know if it's the Mac Splash Battle ride. It's the boat with the guns that you soak each other. Angkhor, I think it is. Again, the water rides, you're in Spain, it's stinking hot, you're going to want to cool down. Fantastic idea, right? So absolutely no issues with this one, it is getting kept. Okay, so the next one I'm not going to pass judgment on, but I've actually just checked it out and realised I'm a bit of an idiot. So it's Hurikan Condor. I thought it was one of the tilting drop towers, and if you've seen my videos recently, I bottled out of the one in Busch Gardens, because I really didn't fancy the idea of just being kind of facing straight down. But now that I'm looking at the pictures, this looks a lot more like Apocalypse at Drayton Manor, which I've done and I thoroughly enjoyed. So I have no idea why I skipped this one. But I have skipped it, so I can't really rate it. I would assume that it's a keep, because I enjoyed Apocalypse, but let me know if you have done this bad boy. Is it a good one, or is it worth skipping? Right, we're about halfway through this video right now, and if you have also experienced terrible ride operations, hit that like button for me. Yeah, right, so this next one is a great example of more isn't always better. It's their mine train, which is what, El Diablo Tren de la Mina mine train. I want to say it's an aerodynamics one. I could be wrong on that. It's definitely old, it's shown its age. Multiple lift hills, maybe 3, possibly 4. A couple of bits that are reasonably intense, but a couple of bits where you are crawling around. Absolutely snail's pace, and you're just like, is this thing gonna make it? So yeah, it's definitely, as I said, a proof that more isn't always better. So this one for me is going in take it or leave it. Now the next one is another flat ride. It's a flat ride that I always associate with the travelling circuit. It's the kind of thing you see, maybe not so much now. I don't know if it's more me showing my age from like the 90s and 2000s. Maybe they are still out there, I don't know. But this one is called Yucatan. It's that kind of fast spinning ride that kind of goes up and down as it goes round, and it looks like it's got a big giant sort of bit of fabric holding it all together, covering up all the inner workings, as you will. And I don't know if this one, I can't remember if it goes backwards. Some of these usually do. And it's the typical thing where, you know, centripetal forces, you're getting pushed out to the side, so whoever's on the outer seat is getting absolutely crushed. But I think it's good fun, and again, flats have a place, so I gotta keep it. Right, time to butcher some Spanish yet again. Right, this one is Serpiente Emplumada. Apologies if you are Spanish. It's another flat ride. It's a weird one because it kind of looks like a bunch of sort of sombreros that are attached and kind of do this kind of undulating thing and they rotate. But when you look at it, you go, wait a minute, that's got over the shoulder restraints. Why? I remember this being a lot of fun, and actually a lot more intense than you would anticipate for a flat ride, especially looking at it off-ride. You're just going, okay, that looks okay. Yeah, it's pretty damn intense. And I enjoyed it, so I can't say its name, but I will keep it. So I mentioned that the park has a couple of water rides. There's still a couple more to go, and one of them is Silver River Flume. Clues in the name there, it's a log flume. Fairly decent length if I remember correctly, and an absolute soaker. Or maybe that's just because I was sitting in the front, because, you know, physics degree and I like to sit in the front. Clever. Anyway, it cools you down, which is what you need, right? Certainly when I was there, it was ridiculously hot, and I was grateful to get absolutely drenched. So I absolutely loved it. I'm gonna keep it. Right, this next one has changed since I was out there, which means obviously I can rate it based on my own experience on it, but I do know the experience has changed. Whether it's changed for the better or worse, that's for a separate debate. I know Scott's recently debated this on his podcast, and that is Stampida. So it's a dueling wooden coaster. Conceptually brilliant. Love a wooden coaster, love the dueling aspect. Actually, there's a period where it interacts with the third track, which we've not got to yet. There's another coaster right next to it, and they kind of interact. So you end up with 3 tracks, which is fantastic. And there's a bit where it switches around, and then you come toward, you're going along beside each other, you divert, and the next thing you know, you're going head to head towards each other. So the track layout is fantastic. The trains are absolutely honking. The worst trains I've ever been on, really, really bad and uncomfortable. And the reason I say it's changed, and I'm not sure how I can rate this one, is because last year, or this year, close season, they put in some Titan track. Now, I have experienced Titan track on Eurus and the Drac, and it is super smooth, as you would expect. But basically you are substituting a part of a wooden coaster for a metal track. And definitely there are some diehard enthusiasts out there who are like, well, it's no longer a wooden coaster, so you can't do that. And that you need that kind of wooden rattle. I kind of was sitting on the fence with that one. I've obviously not experienced this installation of the Titan track. I'm sure it's super smooth. My issue was never the track. My issue, as I said, is the trains. I think those trains are horrific and need some work or replaced. So on that grounds, based on my own experience of it, and it has obviously changed, I'm going to put this one in take it or leave it, because I'd probably give it another go to see what it's like with the Titan track. But if the trains are still as bad as they were, it's not one I'm going to go on every visit. So I mentioned there that as part of Stampida, it temporarily interacts with another coaster that is sitting right beside it, and that is Tomahawk. Now, very, very different experience, much, much more tame, much more kids-friendly, much more comfortable, and definitely a lot less intense. So again, this is more like that kind of introductory wooden coaster for the kids, which is fantastic. Again, I'm still a massive advocate of those kind of smaller coasters to introduce kids to them. So for that reason alone, I'm going to put this one in the keep pile. The next attraction I cannot pronounce. I'm just going to put it on the screen right now. And it's a strange little sausage, so it is. In fact, when I was doing the History series on Camelot, pretty sure they had this model as well. It's this strange, so it's a round flat ride with these sort of cars in there that will kind of rotate-ish. So the whole track is spinning, these things are rotating or rocking back and forward, and then the track kind of tilts up to kind of reasonable angle, it doesn't get too steep. The problem with it though is that those cars, they don't move as much as you would expect. So you're in it and you're like, you would expect more from this. It's massively underwhelming. So yeah, this one for me is definitely going in that scrap pile. So the next one is yet another flat ride, and this one is Crazy Barrels. Now this, as far as I can tell, is just a standard Huss breakdance, and it was a pretty good one. I enjoyed it. So not much more I can say about this one. I had a decent cycle on it, reasonably intense. So yeah, big fan of this one. I'm gonna keep it as well. And then the last water ride that they've got there is Grand Canyon Rapids, which obviously is a rapids. By no means the most intense rapids out there. And it's not as much of a soaker as you might expect. It's still gonna get you a little bit wet, but you're not gonna come off the, it's not like Bluto's barges over in Universal where you cannot avoid it, you are getting drenched. It's probably not as bad as Drayton Manors where you're like, is there water in this ride? It's somewhere in the middle, so you will get a bit of a splash, but you're not going to get soaked. Unless somebody, there are a couple of strategic places where spectators have guns that can soak you. If somebody pays the euro or whatever it is to do that, you're getting wet because you can't get away from it. But listen, again, water ride, Spain, said it 3 or 4 times already in this video, needed. So it is definitely getting kept. So that is my opinions on PortAventura. As I've said, beautiful park on paper, fantastic ride lineup. A couple of little things in there that I'm not a fan of. Significant amount of things I would keep versus scrap and take or leave. It's operations. The biggest problem, operations. Now I've never been on a quiet day, so hopefully it's okay then. But the other problem is that it is notorious in Spain to have queue jumping. I haven't even touched on that in this video. So very, very frustrating from that point of view. If you're lucky enough to attend on a quiet day, or a day where FastPass is quiet and you can therefore use it, great. If you're there on a busy day, good luck. When I was there for a week, so I kind of took my time and it didn't bother me too much. But I'd love to know your thoughts on this one, which rides you would keep, which ones you would scrap, and again, what your experience of the operations have been. If you've enjoyed this one, hit that like button and please also subscribe. If you'd love to see more of this sort of thing, there's a whole playlist right up here.